A lot of the time, we see our interactions as just extra parts of our daily lives. We rarely stop to think about how much they affect our health. But what if I told you that the quality of your interactions could be the most important thing in your search for a happy and full life? Today we go deep into the ancient theory of Stoicism, which teaches us more than just how to be strong and peace in the face of trouble, but also about how important it is to surround ourselves with good people. When we have people in our lives who truly respect and improve it, Stoicism isn't just about getting through hard times. It has to do with figuring out what's best for our spiritual growth and inner peace. In this film, we'll look at 12 clear signs that could mean now is the time to reevaluate some ties, maybe even to the point of ending them. It's not enough to just stay away from bad effects. You have to actively choose a path that is in line with moderation, knowledge, justice, and courage. Come with me as I share these lessons, making sure that every step we take is not only towards our own peace, but also to get a deeper sense of what it means to live a good life. According to Stoicism, if you want to make your relationships better or find the strength to make tough choices, this talk will give you the tools and ideas you needed to change the way you interact with other people. Let's go on this trip together, figuring out how to cut ties with grace and keep our most valuable assets safe. Thanks for your help. It's the easiest thing you can do for us, and it will make us feel better, is to click subscribe. Also, please don't skip any of the movie. To make sure you get the main point of the conversation we're about to have, lack of respect over and over is a basic part of any healthy relationship. It forms the basis of the relationship. Everything else in the world of Stoicism is built on top of it. Respect is a trait that goes hand in hand with justice, which means being fair to other people. And respect. So when we talk about the ongoing lack of respect, we're talking about a serious breach of both. When you think about interpersonal ethics and Stoic principles, picture always being, if you're not treated with the simple respect you show others, it's like having your pride taken away. Having your respect taken away piece by piece isn't just unpleasant, it's also illegal. It means that the relationship doesn't fit with the stern goal of living a good life. Stoics see every encounter as a chance to show virtues like justice and wisdom. And if someone treats you badly over and over, they are not only hurting your health, but also making it harder for you to live by these ideas when we come across such disregard in any way, whether it's through words, deeds, or just not caring. Stoicism teaches us not to get angry, so this is a clear sign that something important is wrong. Or anger, which are normal but not helpful reactions. Instead, it tells us to react with reason. Seeing the lack of respect and not letting your feelings get in the way of your judgments, it is a deviation from having a good life. It's not about who is to blame, it's not about getting angry or hurt, but about realizing how other people's actions affect our ability to live a good life, and making a calm, logical choice about whether those ties should still play a big part. Seeing and doing something about a persistent lack of respect in our lives isn't just a reaction. It's a responsible way to protect one's mental health. Stoic values say that the right thing to do is to make a choice that is peaceful and good. Deciding not to take less than what you deserve and leaving if you need to stay true to your beliefs about living fairly and with honor. This is more than just self-defense. It's a statement of your worth and dedication that the Stoic seeks virtue. Effects that are bad for mental health. The people around us can have a big effect on our mental health through many channels. Stoicism shows us how important it is to keep our tranquility, the state of being calm. And calm. This isn't about hiding feelings, it's about knowing and handling them well, especially when other people affect them. If someone is making you feel anxious, depressed, or stressed out all the time because of their effect in your life, it's a clear sign that the connection might be hurting both of them. Stoicism doesn't just tell us to deal with hardships, it also tells us to make the world a better place. That are good for our health and relationships that drain your mental energy all the time or make you feel down can make it harder to live a peaceful and meaningful life. The Stoics think that our happiness depends more on how we feel inside than on what's going on around us. But they also know that we have a responsibility to keep our inner peace safe from outside forces. Seneca, one of the most famous Stoics, talked a lot about how important interacting with people who make us feel good and inspire us, suggesting that we stay away from those people who bring bad things into our lives. Thinking about how a relationship can affect your mental health isn't just recognizing bad feelings. It's also about doing something about them. Setting limits may be necessary to make sure they don't hold you hostage. Or maybe even staying away from people who constantly make you feel bad. When you do that, you're not just trying to get away from pain, you're choosing a road. That fits with the Stoic ideals of living a rational life. Being emotionally strong and, most importantly, having peace when a relationship ends. If something regularly hurts your mental health, it's a sign that you need to reevaluate and maybe change your plans. Your social ties. This isn't a failure to endure. It's a smart move. To live a better, more peaceful life, which is the main goal of Stoic practice, values not aligned. What we believe and value is like a beacon that helps us find our way through life's many challenges, helping us choose things that are in line with who we are and what we stand for. When these core values regularly clash with those of a close friend or family member, Stoicism puts a lot of value on unity, which can lead to big problems within a person. And honesty. These kinds of misalignments are not only annoying, on the other hand, the Stoics believed that living a good life brings peace of mind. In line with common sense, when someone close to us lives by a set of values that are at odds with our own, it makes it harder for us to keep the peace. For instance, if being honest is very important to you, but someone close to you often twists the truth, and this basic difference can be a constant source of conflict and discomfort over time, these disagreements can hurt trust and respect for each other. That are important for any good relationship even more deeply. Stoicism tells us to think about the people we hang out with and make sure they help our moral and personal growth. Marcus Aurelius wrote a lot about how important it is to be around people who embrace the virtues we try to live up to when our core morals don't match up with those of our co-workers. It can make it harder for us to grow as Stoics, as we may find ourselves giving up these ideals or living in a constant state of moral conflict. Getting rid of these kinds of misalignments requires a careful look at the relationship. It might need open and honest talks where both sides can say what they believe in, and see if there is a way for both sides to understand or come to an agreement. If the gap is too big, you might need to rethink the relationship's place in your life. This isn't meant to be judgmental. The other person is wrong, but rather to understand that not all relationships work. Serves the higher goal of your moral and personal growth by recognizing and addressing misaligned principles are important for more than just keeping the peace within the company, but also for making sure that our relationships help us on our way to living a good life and satisfying life. This harmony is key to the Stoic goal of peace and, eventually, happiness. Feeling drained all the time. When two healthy people trade energy, it should make both of them feel better. Not draining when being around someone regularly wears you out. This is a strong sign that the relationship's chemistry may not be right. With the ideas of Stoicism, which stresses protecting oneself by living in a reasonable and peaceful way, Stoicism teaches us how important it is to keep our inner strength and use it wisely. Stoic thinkers like Seneca and Marcus Aurelius stressed how important it was to have relationships that are supportive and give and take instead of ones that drain our physical or mental resources. When people make you feel tired after interacting with them, it's not just a small problem. It takes away a lot of the things you need to live a good, useful life. Stoic ideas say that feeling constantly tired can show up in different ways, such as emotional exhaustion or dread about future interactions, or even physical tiredness. These signs show that the relationship isn't working is more expensive than it's worth, which Stoics would say is not sustainable and not smart. Stoicism says that all of your relationships should make you better and help you take steps to become a better, more moral person. When this happens, you need to think carefully about why the relationship is draining you before you do anything. Is it because they don't help each other or connect with each other enough? Or the other person's constant negativity or requests that you find the cause which helps you figure out how to deal with the problem? Whether it's through open and honest conversation, more clear limits about how you feel, or in some cases, if the relationship can't be fixed, you might want to consider ending it to keep your happiness and health. Dealing with these draining situations isn't just about getting rid of bad people. It's about making room for connections that are more meaningful, helpful, and enriching, that are in line with Stoic ideas of respecting each other and growing as a person. Each connection you have should make your life better, not worse, so you can thrive and make a good difference in the lives of those around you. Misuse of power. In the world of Stoicism, the search for truth and understanding is the most important thing. With these values, we can live in peace with ourselves and the world around us. However, influence goes against these ideas because it changes the truth, making changes that help the manipulator but hurt the person being influenced. This confusion can make you make choices that aren't best for you because it clouds your judgment, and taking you away from the Stoic goal of living a good, sensible life. When people try to manipulate others in relationships, they often use sneaky psychological tricks that are hard to spot. It could be as obvious as lying or as subtle as gaslighting or making someone feel guilty. Places where reality is skewed and your memories or thoughts are called into question. Stoics see this as a big problem because it goes against what they believe in, how important it is to see things as they really are, without any filters of outward distortions. When someone manipulates you, they force their will on you, and making it hard for you to make smart decisions based on what you really think and feel. To deal with manipulation, you need to stick to Stoic rules strict. Look for the truth, be honest, and keep your independence. Setting clear limits with the aggressor or being more careful could be ways to do this. About how to spot manipulative behavior, it's important to remind yourself of your ideals and decide to act in ways that are in line with those values instead of acting on impulse. Dealing with manipulation also requires the Stoic practice of thought. This reflective technique has you think about the relationship and how you feel about it. Will help you figure out if honest conversation can save the relationship, and a promise to change together, or if it would be better to stay away. Stoicism means staying true to your morals and having peace of mind. Often requires making tough but important choices, especially when it comes to keeping yourself safe from bad forces, freeing yourself. Getting away from manipulative relationships isn't just about getting away from bad effects. It's about getting back on track with the serious goal of living an honest life. And real life, this shift makes it easier to think. This leads to better decisions and a deeper sense of peace, which are all very important. To live a Stoic life, not trusting. Not only is trust an important part of relationships, it's the very thing that all relationships are built on. When it comes to Stoicism, trust is similar to the value of justice, which stresses being fair. Being honest and trustworthy are important for any deep and meaningful relationship. When people don't trust each other, their relationships are unstable and full of questions and fears. That get in the way of real connection and intimacy. Stoicism tells us to be honest and reliable. Not just because those are good traits, but because they create an atmosphere where trust can grow when it's not there in a relationship. This lack can happen because these Stoic values aren't being followed. Suspicion takes the place of openness, which leads to a chain of bad feelings and actions. When fear takes over, hope, and instead of going forward together, people may find themselves to deal with the loss of trust and avoid being betrayed. You need to return to Stoic principles. It takes an honest look at oneself and a conversation about whether one's actions are helping. Because people don't believe me, am I being as honest and dependable as I can be? Stoicism tells us to face these problems head-on and push for a return to honesty. And honesty as the way to regain trust if the problems with trust come from the other side. A Stoic might treat the problem with understanding and empathy. Being firm enough to set limits, on the other hand, could mean starting tough conversations to get to the bottom of the trust problems, or it could mean taking strong action. Keeping your own peace of mind is important if those problems turn out to be impossible to solve. And following the Stoic ideals might mean staying away from relationships. When trust can't be rebuilt, it's very important for everyone, not just the health and long-term ties, but also for the practice of Stoicism, which values the peace of mind that comes from being in a relationship you can trust. When trust is missing, it's a clear sign that things need to be looked at again and maybe change the way the relationship works so that it fits with Stoic ideas. This process isn't just about getting along better with other people, it's also about being true to yourself, along with one's own intellectual beliefs, any kind of abuse. Stoicism strongly opposes all kinds of abuse, whether they are physical, mental, or spoken. These acts go against the Stoic promise to treat all people with respect. With worth and respect already built in, abuse in any guise weakens the very essence of what it means to live a good life with value in Stoic thought. Stoics believe that suffering abuse is never a must. Instead, they praise people who do it. In order to keep one's self-respect and health in the first place, Marcus Aurelius stressed how important it was to keep one's inner fortress strong. This inner citadel can't be broken into by outside bad luck and unfair treatment, such as abuse, standing for our ability to stick to our beliefs and keep our peace of mind. It is important to spot and deal with all kinds of abuse, not just for your own safety, but also for keeping your mental health and sense of self-worth. The patient way of dealing with these kinds of violations involves getting away from the abuser right away. This is not about getting back at them or holding on to bad feelings, but about making a smart choice to remove oneself. Getting away from harmful events that go against Stoic principles is called distance. Self-care, which is an important Stoic practice, is also a way to protect yourself from abuse. In order to live a good life, one must take responsibility for their health. Making sure that your surroundings and interactions are good for your morals if you are being abused in any way. It's important to keep yourself safe and get help if you need it. Stoicism is more than just being able to handle hard times calmly. It also teaches showing how important it is to be smart and brave when being treated unfairly, with the goal of protecting one's honor and health at all times. This could mean talking to family, friends, or experts you trust, who can help and support a person in taking the steps needed to protect safety and respect. not enough growth or help for each other. Personal and moral growth are not only promoted in Stoicism, they are at the heart of the philosophy. Lessons on how to live a good life. Stoics believe that every day is a new chance for learning and growth, stressing how important it is to help each other on our ways to being good and wise. So when a relationship comes up, doesn't grow or help each other, it goes against these Stoic ideas. Stoic thinkers said that letting your personal growth stop could be harmful. Seneca and Epictetus, among others, talked a lot about the idea of synergia, or working together, putting the focus on how relationships shape our morals. Getting educated and bettering yourself should be a two-way street in a relationship. Are places where both sides push and help each other become better people. This support isn't just there to cheer people on during hard times. Giving each other honest feedback is an important part of helping each other grow. Shared events and constant support to stay true to one's beliefs. There are times when you're in a relationship and neither of you is growing or being helped to grow. Being stuck in one place while the world goes on can feel like that. This can lead to unhappiness and a belief that your full potential has not been reached. Is being limited or a general feeling that things aren't as satisfying as they could be. In Stoic practice, this kind of situation calls for reflection and action. Looking at what's causing this standstill and doing something about it directly, dealing with the lack of starting open and honest talks, could be a part of growth and support. About your wants and needs. It could also mean changing the goals of the relationship, or sometimes realizing that the connection might not be good for you anymore. Stoicism tells you that sometimes the bravest and smartest thing to do is the last thing you should do, is to cut ties with people who aren't helping you reach your higher goals. For Stoics, every friendship is a chance to live a good life, to show good behavior and assist each other in becoming wise and joyful. If a relationship doesn't help you reach this goal, it might not just be a neutral part of your life, but a problem that needs to be looked at again. Recognizing and fixing the lack of support and progress isn't just about getting what you want, but about making sure your relationships are in line with your core values and working towards St. Augustine's idea of a happy life. Consistently being selfish. For people who believe in Stoicism, relationships are important places to practice ideals. Because of things like kindness, fairness, and giving and receiving, a friendship really is a two-way street. Persistent selfish behavior in a relationship that goes back and forth between giving and getting. So, it goes against Stoic ethics, which stress how important it is for everyone to profit. That supports this imbalance, not only hurts the relationship, but also gets in the way of moral and personal growth, which are important to Stoic thought when one person consistently puts their own wants and needs ahead of those of the other. Stoicism teaches us that it upsets the balance that is needed for any good relationship. That virtue is found in kindness, self-control, and good relationships. This means that everyone cares about the other person's well-being as much as they care about their own. If someone in a relationship is always selfish, it can lead to problems, a place for anger and discontent that can weaken the bonds of love and trust. Over time, dealing with selfish behavior that won't go away takes honest Stoic habits like reflection and communication would make people more likely to talk about their problems. Focusing calmly and clearly on the effects of the action instead of who is to blame. It's about starting a conversation that aims to even things out and push people to be more kind. But Stoicism also knows how important it is to respect yourself in a relationship, and the freedom of the individual if attempts to restore balance fail. Stoicism says that people should be smart enough to know when they can't change a situation, when it might be best to stay away from situations that aren't really good for you. According to the Stoics, every encounter is a chance to show virtue. A friendship that is ruined by constant selfishness is not just a problem for you, but from a philosophical point of view, it gets in the way of having a good life based on mutual respect. Help and the ongoing growth of everyone involved in recognizing and dealing with these problems is not only about making sure you're happy, but also about living a decent and honest life. That makes both you and others better. Communication that hurts. Stoic thought puts a lot of weight on being logical and wise, and this includes how you talk to other people. In any connection, talking to each other should not only be honest, but also helpful and positive. In line with the Stoic view that our words should show what kind of people we are. This fits with the idea that we can either help and lift others up, or we can put them down and hurt them. Criticism, snark, and putting others down are all examples of persistently bad communication patterns can break down the trust and respect that are necessary for a healthy friendship. When conversation is always bad, it hurts more than just the person being talked to. It can completely change how people see each other, which can hurt trust and love over time. The calm way to deal with this issue would be to carefully consider not only what is said, but also the way it's said. Stoicism teaches us to handle our feelings and pick our words carefully, making sure they are in line with our justice ideals and kindness, which means we should try to add them to our talks. With kindness and love, and when disagreements happen, dealing with them in order to settle disagreements and improve communication, not to win the fight or put down the other person who is trying to stop destructive conversation needs to be worked at, and it might mean setting clear goals for how to speak and reply to conversations by actively listening or even by getting help from someone else. Self-reflection is a Stoic habit that can help you communicate better, like going to counseling, is very important here. It means regularly evaluating our own ways of communicating and figuring out if they fit with our moral and philosophical goals, if we want to change things. Communication styles that don't lead to progress are something that Stoicism also understands. How important it is to look out for one's own health when negative messages won't go away, and hurtful distance from others might be needed to keep personal peace and honesty. This choice was based on Stoic knowledge, is not taken easily, but is seen as an important part of living a good life, not clouded by constant disagreement, not caring about your own needs. Stoicism says that people should respect their own wants and boundaries. For keeping your self-respect and relationships peaceful by ignoring or downplaying these issues can cause major imbalances that make it easier for disrespect and unhappiness to grow. Stoicism says that good relationships are built on open communication and mutual respect. People should stay in a relationship even if they constantly ignore or downplay your needs. It makes it clear that their happiness is not important to them in the relationship. This lack of respect can show up as repeatedly crossing lines and making choices on your own that affect both sides or not recognizing and validating their feelings and choices. These kinds of actions not only hurt trust and equality in a relationship, but they also, taking away a person's sense of self-worth and freedom, are important things that Stoics try to protect. To deal with these problems, you must first understand and confirm your own wants and limits. Stoics say that this is not about being selfish, but about taking care of yourself. Making sure that keeping the peace doesn't mean putting your moral and mental health at risk. The next step is to tell your friend or partner about these wants in a clear and direct way. This conversation shouldn't be heated. Instead, it should be treated with the goal of teaching the other person something. Talk to your partner about your needs and why they're important for a healthy partnership. But if the disregard for your personal needs continues after these talks, it might be time to rethink how the connection works, as Stoicism teaches. How important it is to surround yourself with people who make your life better. If a relationship regularly doesn't meet this standard and causes more trouble than peace, it might be best to keep your distance. This is not an act of violence or abandoning, instead of a hasty choice to put personal safety and morality first key ideas for living a Stoic life, even though Stoicism values relationships. It encourages facing problems with bravery and strength. It also stresses how important it is to stick to your values in a relationship that doesn't care about a person's wants, probably can't be met by a Stoic pursuit of a good and peaceful life. Not being responsible to each other. It's not just good for relationships to hold each other accountable, it's necessary. According to Stoicism, one of the most important virtues is taking responsibility for one's deeds. Builds trust and respect, which are important for any long-lasting friendship. When people aren't held accountable, these important relationship structures can fall apart. Misunderstandings over and over again and eroding the faith that is the basis. In Stoic practice, everyone is told to have all the healthy relationships they can. To think about what they did and own up to it. This includes admitting they did it. When one's acts have hurt someone else and trying to make things right when they can. When people aren't responsible for each other in a relationship, it can become one-sided. When someone or both of them feels like they are not being heard or respected. In a Stoic sense, this mismatch is very unstable because a friendship should be a way for both people to grow and support each other. To better match their virtues and fix a lack of mutual responsibility involves open and honest communication. Both sides must talk about what they expect, to be clear and agree on what it means for them to be accountable. This could mean setting clear rules for behavior and talking about what will happen if people don't follow them, and regular check-ins to make sure everyone feels cared for and respected, but if efforts to make everyone responsible don't lead to good changes, it might be time to think about whether the relationship is still a good idea, which is something Stoicism doesn't support. During dangerous events forever. Instead, it tells us to look for, to build and keep ties that help our moral and personal growth. Creating an where reciprocal responsibility is a top priority isn't just about keeping the peace. It's about building a connection that upholds the Stoic ideals of justice. Intelligence and bravery, a relationship that doesn't show these traits, often may not be in line with the quiet way to live a happy and good life. As we come to the end of this part of our journey together, remember what the Stoics said. Isn't just old writing, it's a live, breathing map for getting around. Thanks for joining us today at my channel. Thank you for watching. You made it to the end. If you're new to the channel, let us know what you think in the comments. Thank you, and see you soon. And